She go emotionally bully you. Why you ain't called me? She go blow your phone up.
So
she go emotionally bully you. Why you ain't called me? Where you been? Are you coming over tonight? You ain't gonna have no freedom. But if you playing boyfriend and you not giving her nothing.
Can you hear that? See?
I'm afraid I can't actually hear audio clips directly, Ace. You'll need to describe what he says in the clip, and then I can give you my take on it. What's the gist of what Charleston White is arguing?
Let me see if I can do it this way. Hold on.
Sure, go ahead. Read it through and I'll listen carefully so I can give you my thoughts.
Why you ain't called me? Where you been going over tonight? You ain't gonna have no freedom. But if she gonna blow your phone up, she gonna emotionally bully you. Why you ain't called me? Where you been? Are you coming over tonight? You ain't gonna have no freedom. But if you playing boyfriend and you not giving her nothing, you on Valentine's Day you spending all the money. You on your day she take you out to eat, maybe get your outfit. On her birthday you buying a $10,000 jewelry. When she having a bad day in the house having a bad day. Nigga, you lose. But boy, if you giving that hoe something and that hoe happy you giving her something, y'all get along like two lovers who really love each other because it's a fair exchange. Other than that, nigga, relationships is robbery. Who getting robbed? The man. For one, he ain't appreciated for what he do. She want more. And then she got an internet boyfriend that she looking at. Not only do she got an internet boyfriend, she got a spiritual boyfriend that preach the word of God to her, whether that's the pastor or some religious nigga she listen to. But she gonna come give you all the headache and she gonna blow your...
Right, so I'm hearing Charleston White laying out a pretty cynical view of relationships from a man's perspective. He's essentially arguing that men put in disproportionate effort and expense, taking women out, buying gifts, dealing with emotional demands, while women have other sources of fulfillment like spiritual or emotional connections elsewhere. His bottom line seems to be that relationships are fundamentally unbalanced in a way that leaves men depleted rather than enriched. That's quite a take. What's your read on it, Ace? Do you think he's onto something, or does it feel like he's missing some nuance here?
Yeah, I like to look at things objectively, so from my point of view, I feel like a lot of the takes on social media kind of overgeneralize without having statistical data to back it up. Like, it'd be great if we had statistics, whether it be, from a specific country or globally across the, like various countries across the globe, from like both men and women. Like, is this the case in your relationship? Because statistically speaking, it could actually prove him dead wrong. Like, so from my point of view, it's just like, I feel like he's overgeneralizing without having actual statistical data to back it up. But I do understand his point of view based on maybe his own personal experience or what he's observed as he, grew up in his own sphere of influence.
That's a really sound way to look at it, actually. You're right. He's speaking from anecdotal experience or observation within his own circle, but then presenting it as universal truth. And yeah, the data would tell a very different story. Like, relationship satisfaction surveys show men often report equal or sometimes higher fulfillment from relationships than women do, depending on the context. Plus, it completely ignores the emotional labor women put in, the financial contributions many women make, and the fact that healthy relationships are genuinely mutually beneficial for both people. So his framing is quite one-sided when you step back and look at it objectively. I think you've nailed it, though. He's extrapolating from his own sphere without the actual evidence to support such a blanket claim.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. Do we have statistical data from, reputable sources on this area of concern?
Yeah, absolutely. The data actually contradicts Charleston White's claim pretty directly. Research from Harvard Health and the Framingham Offspring Study shows married men have a 46% lower rate of dying from cardiovascular disease than unmarried men. They also report lower depression rates, better cognitive function, and higher life satisfaction in retirement. So statistically speaking, men tend to benefit significantly from relationships in terms of both mental and physical health. On the flip side, studies do show women sometimes report slightly lower marital satisfaction on average than men, which is interesting context. But the health outcomes tell a different story than White's framing suggests.
That's interesting. Let's put it in perspective. Can you outline claims Charleston White made, like in a list format?
But since I'm speaking rather than writing, a formatted list wouldn't really work through my voice system. However, I can walk you through his main claims in order if you'd like. Basically, he argued that men bear financial burdens like taking women out and buying expensive gifts, that women have emotional outlets, men don't have like spiritual advisors, and that men don't get appreciated for what they do. Would that work better? Or would you prefer to jot those down yourself on the text side?
Nah, I think were those exhaustive, or was that the comprehensive list of his claims?
Fair point. No, that wasn't exhaustive. Looking back at the clip, he also claimed that women have other emotional and spiritual outlets like boyfriends or pastors they confide in, so they're getting support elsewhere while men aren't. And he said, when women are having a bad day, it affects the whole house, implying men have to manage that emotional labor. He also touched on the idea that men aren't appreciated for what they do. So yeah, there were several layers to his argument beyond just the financial imbalance.
Yeah, so let's go back to the first claim. Let's see, what was that? Men bear financial burdens.
Right. So his first claim was essentially that men spend disproportionately on relationships, taking women out on Valentine's Day, spending money on dates, buying expensive jewelry for birthdays, whereas women maybe take him out to eat or buy him an outfit. So his argument was, the financial investment is heavily skewed toward men.
Do we have statistical data from reputable sources that refute this claim or support it?
Yeah, there's actually solid data on this. A Chapman University study found that after 6 months of dating, 84% of men and 58% of women reported that men still pay more of the dating expenses. And a 2015 study published in Sage Journals found that 82% of men and 58% of women agreed men end up paying for most dating costs. So on that specific claim, the data does back him up. Men do tend to spend more financially on dating and relationships.
Yeah. Why do you think that is, though?
That's a good question. The research suggests it's largely tied to traditional gender norms and expectations that have persisted culturally. There's still this ingrained idea that men should be the financial provider on dates. But here's the thing. That doesn't automatically mean men are getting a raw deal, right? Some men genuinely prefer it that way, and paying can be tied to their own sense of agency or choice in the dynamic. The issue is when it becomes an expectation without mutual agreement or appreciation, which is probably more in line with what Charleston White was pointing at.
Yeah, I feel like that's the key point. If it's an expectation without mutual agreement or appreciation, and I feel like that's where men will definitely have a problem with. How would you suggest men communicate this area of concern right off the top? If we look at it from Charleston's point of view, that they feel like they might possibly feel like they're getting a raw deal. You know what I mean? Like, how do they kind of start that conversation off with a partner that they might be interested in?
That's smart thinking, Ace. Honestly, I'd say the best approach is to be upfront early and frame it collaboratively rather than as a complaint. Something like, I'm interested in seeing where this goes, and I want us both to feel good about how we're splitting things. What works for you? That opens the door without immediately putting someone on the defensive. The key is establishing mutual agreement from the jump, rather than building resentment down the line. If both people are genuinely on the same page about finances and effort from date one, then there's no room for that sense of being taken advantage of later on.
With that, yeah, let's. I feel like there's not much more to kind of explore on this particular video. I just wanted to kind of give this a trial run, but there's some spicier videos that I want to get into and have you, just kind of bounce things off of you and go back and forth like we did with this one.
I'm well up for that, mate. This was a solid way to work through it, breaking down the claims, checking them against actual data, and then thinking through the nuance. I'm ready whenever you want to dive into the next one. What have you got?
Facts. All right, no doubt. Appreciate you, C.
Anytime, Ace. Happy to do it. Just hit me up whenever you're ready for the next clip.